My hogs were squealing like it was Judgment Day, and the barn lights were flickering like a horror movie when I followed a thick orange extension cord snaking from my outlet to a giant RV parked on my land. That moment, I realized someone was stealing electricity. And no, the bacon smell in the air wasn't from breakfast. It had started earlier that day the way most HOA nightmares do, with something absurd and expensive backing into a place it didn't belong. I was out back feeding the pigs, soaking in the sounds of contented snorts and buzzing power lines, when I heard the unmistakable beep 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 of a vehicle reversing with the arrogance of royalty. I walked around the barn, and there it was, a gleaming 45-foot luxury RV covered in palm tree decals, chrome mirrors sparkling like disco balls. And standing next to it, arms crossed and smirking like she owned the zip code, was Margot. She wasn't technically part of the HOA anymore. Their jurisdiction stopped at my fence line, but that had never stopped her from acting like she was president of the entire county. Months ago, she tried to fine me for a non-existent rooster, and once sent a letter about my unacceptable grass height after a storm had flooded my mower. But this was next level. At first, I thought maybe she was lost or turning around. I approached, trying to stay civil. She didn't even look up, just said she had permission from the HOA board to park there temporarily. I reminded her that she was standing on my property. She waved some vague paperwork about emergency RV accommodations, and then strutted back to setting up folding chairs like she was hosting a garden gala. That night, I checked on the hogs before sunset and noticed the lights in the barn were acting weird, flickering. One heat lamp was dead. The pigs were restless and agitated. One even knocked over a feed bucket. I had just rewired the barn a few months ago. This made no sense. I went out to check the breakers, and that's when I saw an orange extension cord tucked under a tarp, trailing around the barn like a sneaky snake. I followed it, across the gravel, under a gate, right to the underbelly of Margot's RV. I knocked on her door with more force than necessary. She opened it holding a glass of wine, grinning like we were old friends. I asked what the hell she thought she was doing. She shrugged and said her generator was loud, and the HOA discouraged its use. Thought it would be neighborly to plug into a shared outlet. Shared outlet? That was my barn's power supply. My hogs depended on that electricity. She was endangering my livestock. Her smile didn't budge. She told me she'd only be there a few days. I pulled the plug out right then and there. Her RV went dark. Her fridge beeped in protest. She looked like I'd unplugged her life support. She smirked and said, "The sheriff's on the HOA board. Good luck." I barely slept that night. The audacity. The entitlement. By morning, she had run another cord, this one from my tool shed, sneaking behind my freezer. It was like playing electrical whack-a-mole with a raccoon on Red Bull. That's when I changed my approach. No more yelling. No more unplugging. I rerouted the barn's power to the industrial fans. Normally, they ran on low to keep the air fresh. But now, full blast. The fans screamed to life and sent a wall of hot, hog-scented air directly at her brunch setup. By 10 a.m., she was banging on my door, coughing and fuming, demanding I turn the fans off. I offered to let her plug into them, too. Her face turned purple. She accused me of sabotage. The next morning, Margot gathered a crowd at the edge of my property, HOA allies in tow, pointing at my barn and waving documents. They claimed some obscure HOA bylaw required shared access during emergencies. She even produced a map with a newly drawn dotted line extending HOA boundaries, the ink still wet. Then the HOA president came by, acting like he was defusing a hostage situation. I showed him the cords, the power drain, and the stress on my barn. He babbled about community cohesion and warned that the HOA might reconsider shared utility privileges if I didn't comply. That night, another cord appeared, this time disguised as part of an irrigation setup. It bypassed the barn's outer circuit and fed directly from the ventilation system. That was dangerous. I gave her one last chance. I calmly asked her to remove it. She sipped her iced tea and said, "If the pigs can't handle a little heat, maybe they aren't fit for country life." That was it. I flipped the override switch. All the barn's excess power surged into the fans. The air blasted out like a jet engine. Hog stink filled the air. Her brunch table flipped. People screamed. Someone yelled. Gas leak. She filed a noise complaint. Claimed my barn was unsafe. The HOA sent a letter about a surprise inspection. I laughed. My barn was fully compliant and miles outside HOA control. Then it got worse. Margot submitted a forged permit with my name on it, pretending I had approved the hookup. A county inspector came. I showed him the real documents. The co-op logs. The tracking system I'd installed. He gave me a clean report. Margot, however, got slapped with multiple violations. That should have been the end. But she went online. Started a blog painting herself as a victim. My niece filmed a video exposing her lies, including clips of her plugging into my barn, the forged permit, and even the ridiculous brunch explosion. It went viral. Locals rallied. They made signs, power to the pigs. They grilled burgers near the county line. Even the news showed up. Margot's reputation tanked. Her HOA buddies ghosted her. Then came the lawsuit. I sued for stolen power, property damage, and livestock endangerment. She showed up to court with a slick lawyer and sob story. Claimed emotional distress. The judge wasn't buying it. I showed my logs, videos, and real permits. The ruling was swift. Margot had to pay every cent back plus legal fees. Weeks later, a tow truck came and hauled her RV away. She didn't even look back. HOA leadership showed up at my door with iced tea and cookies, asking if I'd help draft new boundary policies. I said I'd think about it. I carved a wooden sign that read, "Private outlet. No exceptions." Beneath it, a smiling pig. Later, the county named me Utility Steward of the Year. My co-op meetings started filling up. I began helping neighbors protect their own power systems. Payment came in the form of coffee, honey jars, or thanks. Margot never returned. Rumor had it she was trying to start a new HOA across the county. I didn't care. She could plug in wherever she wanted, as long as it wasn't here. One stolen cord had become a lesson in boundaries, respect, and how even a hog barn can take a stand. And sometimes, the best revenge doesn't come with shouting. It comes with fans.